Nathan, would you say that this brand new 2024 Kia Sorento X-Pro is the most off-road worthy vehicle that Kia builds?
No.
No? What's more off-road worthy?
Anything. No, I mean, the problem is that what they tried to do is they took essentially what is a family hauler and they put tires on it and gave it a little bit of a lift. It is capable in light off-roading, which we've proven in previous videos, but no, I would say that probably everything else they have that's kind of SUV-ish, that has the X-Pro thing going on, is probably a little bit more capable.
Well guys, this just in, the brand new Kia Sorento X-Pro. In this video, we're gonna walk you around it. We're gonna take it for a ride and we're gonna see whether you should buy it, lease it, rent it, or forget it, Nathan. So let's start where we always do, and that is with the styling. What do you think of this new look? Oh.
Wait.
Are you yawning, or is that what you think of the new look?
That was a double. You ever had a double yawn?
Yeah.
Look, it's. I don't think it's ugly. It's just that they didn't do that very much inspiring. I love the fact that they put on the off-road tires. We'll talk about that a little bit later, or I should say all-terrain tires. But the rest of the look is kind of uninspiring. That is not. There's no real skid plate up front. This is all plastic. There is way down there some metal that will protect you. But in essence, what they've done is they've changed some colors. They've updated the front end design a little bit and the rear end a little tiny bit, and that's it.
All right, well, let's look on the bright side. If you're 16 and you're driving this, you'll immediately look 10 years older.
Now, if you're 16 and driving this, it'll probably be like rolling birth control.
Oh God, you are so critical.
No, I'm being, well, actually maybe not, because see, it's got a ton of room inside.
All right, I'm gonna use the S word. It is a little stodgy, you know. I mean, the recent design language has become kind of more squared off, more...
Well, Kia does so many other cars that are much more pleasing to look at. Hyundai, Kia, Genesis, they build fantastic looking vehicles. This is, I think, on the lower end of that whole thing. And I don't think it's ugly. I just think it's kind of boring, that's all.
Well, and you know,
interior is nice, though.
This kind of gray brown interior sand doesn't help. You'll see it in a second, but let's look under the hood. And under the hood, you will find a 2.5 liter turbo.
That's right.
Puts out 281 horsepower, 311 pound-foot of torque. And Nathan, what's it paired to?
An 8-speed dual clutch transmission. Another idea I don't think that is a great one, because...
It hasn't aged well, has it? It has not aged well.
Dual clutch transmissions just don't work on these vehicles as far as I'm concerned. Yes, it'll get you around town, but they're still a little jerky. They're not as smooth as perhaps they should be. I know that they're lighter, they're supposedly less complex and less expensive to build, but the other side of it is having a proper torque converter tends to make things smoother. That's in my mind, at least.
All right, let's drop this. We got like...
Yeah, because we got tons of wind.
Yeah. So we should probably move on, show them the outside of it. You want to talk about the tires? Or
yeah, have a look over here. So these are trail terrains from BFG. I have these exact same tires on my car. As a matter of fact, the 235/65 R17s are very close in size to my tire altogether. And I can say, and I'm not paid to say this, that these are some of the best tires in their class if you want to kind of do a little bit of everything. And they're very, very good in the snow and ice. The only issue with these tires is that they're not as efficient in terms of all the stuff you have going on here with rolling mass and with overall efficiency and with highway grip if you're throwing it through corners. But it's not like you're going to be, going through the Nürburgring in this thing.
Well, come on back here and we'll show you why. And that's because this is, in essence, a family hauler, right? So you do have quite a bit of room if you have the rear seats down. And if you put the rear seats up, it gets a little tighter back here, right? You might be able to get a roller board in here, but that's about it.
Maybe a set of golf clubs if you're careful.
All right, let's play knotted. Who wants
No.
to go?
Sorry, I know what you're going to say.
What was I going to say?
Let's go into the third row.
Oh, damn you. All right, I'll go in the third row.
I know people want the fat guy in the third row, but it's better if I narrate.
You stay here and I'll show you how
Yes.
simple it is to get in the third row.
Okay, so he's going to hit that button on the upper side of the seat.
There's a little button here. It moves the seat out of the way.
Hear the bones creaking.
And then that's my bones.
So they never advertise this as for a full-size or tall adults in the third row. This is really for kids in the third row.
Yeah, because the seat height is about an inch above the floor.
Yeah.
I'll try to close this. So yeah, but there's no legroom in there.
Yeah, so here's the thing about that. If you look over where he is, so he does have enough to sit, but now, effectively, you won't be able to sit up there unless it is like a baby or something like that, perhaps. So the reality is that this car, yes, it can hold a family, but it would have to be a young family, preferably a small family. Ah, he's going to emerge from here.
No,
Shall we show the...
I'm emerging from here, Nathan.
Oh, you're seriously going out the back seat. That's a bit cheating, but I guess it's okay. I will allow it this time.
Thank you. And you know what is nice? They're electric. The second row, check that out.
Yeah, now,
I'll do it again.
Just like every other car in this class right now, in order to get the bench seat, which gives you the maximum seating for 8, I think was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. For 7, you have to buy the lower level cars. I believe that this one and the higher trims do not come with a bench seat in the middle. And that is kind of typical across the board. Now, I'm not 100% sure on that because they've changed some of the trim things on me since I drove this thing only a couple months ago. And that's because Kia is kind of evolving in terms of what they're doing. But I do want to show off one thing. Once you have a look at the seat, I actually really like the fact that they went through the trouble to make the seats look kind of cool, you know, with the type of materials that they used. And we should probably show them the interior now, because that's, I think, the best part of this vehicle. And we will discuss as we drive it also its driving feel and off-road capability.
All right, well, let's hop in, get out of the wind here, and show them the interior, dude. Oh, it's so nice to be inside. Look at these winds. We're getting like, you can see it, we're getting this like massive storm. That's
you can see the front literally coming in over the hills if you look over there. And that's part of the joy of living in Colorado, is because we get unusual storms.
No storms in May.
Yeah, actually June sometimes too. Remember that? Last year, I think it was, we had one. But you know, that's one of the reasons people move to places like California, I suppose.
All right, so let me show you some of the creature comforts. So you do have heated steering wheel, which is nice, and I suspect you also have heated and cooled
all of
seats.
which, most of these are options that come with various trims.
And then you have different drive modes here. So you've got Eco, you've got Sport, you've got Normal, and then over here is Snow. So better traction. I mean, this is all-wheel drive. It
is, and it does have, now let me turn this on. By the way, 12.3 inch screens, I believe, 17.3 here. So 2 different size screens. And by the way, very nice the way they designed this. I do like that. But there are so many little issues. Let's start here, because you and I both agree on this.
Yeah, I hate this dual function. So right now we're kind of in the radio part of it. And if you want to go to the HVAC, you got to hit this. And then these knobs change from volume to temperature. And what's always a little awkward is you never know which one you're in when you're driving, and so you'll go to turn up the volume, but instead you'll turn up the heat, or vice versa. I just don't think this is a good solution, having a screen do 2 things at the same time.
Yeah, I made a bit of I said 12.3 inch, right?
Yeah.
So this is a little screen type thing going on over here as well. It's sort of separate, but that's not part of it. Also, not the best haptic feedback, right? Another thing I wanted to point out, which is this doesn't exactly have an off-road mode.
No.
Now you can play with this, and remember we were talking about the different drive modes. You can see it here if you have a look. There's Snow, there's Normal, Eco, Sport. Ooh, look at that, Sport turns everything red. Okay. But there is one thing here. See this little button? You push this, and it has lock, and it says driver or drive power distribution. That's supposed to have 50-50 split
So
lock.
you're locking the center diff, basically.
It's not a diff, though. It's actually technically a clutch. They call it a diff, but it's not. And it is effective off-road. I've actually used the same thing on my vehicle, and they are related parts-wise. But there are things you have to keep in mind. It's still not, it's not fully mechanical. It is brake-based in terms of maintaining traction, and it's not an actual torque split that is exactly equal 50-50.
You know, I've seen these center locking buttons in cars now for the last 15 years.
Easily, yeah.
Yeah, and they're more for show than for go.
Well, no, it works. So if you were stuck in snow, right,
Yeah.
and your front end was going and it wasn't quite figuring it out, if you hit this, in theory, it might be able to get you out of some trouble.
But you're not going to do any rock climbing. Let me see the Monroney, would you?
Yeah, sorry, that's the other picture.
I'll kind of go over the pricing.
Yeah.
So that you guys know.
Now remember, this is the X Pro, so this is the one on the higher level. There is a higher level above this, too.
So before you get to the X Pro, you're at $47,390, which is about the price of the average new car today. So
yeah.
So you're there, and then with the X Pro and all the other features, you're at $49,400 23 mpg combined, 20 city, 27 on the highway, which isn't horrible for a car.
No, it's not, and it's much better if you get the one. First of all, if you get the non-X Pro versions, those tires do help a little bit, and then if you get the front-wheel drive one, which is the base model, you get even better mileage. Big surprise there, right?
I just unlocked the center diff so we don't crap. Oh, never mind. You're not going to crap.
It's not going to crap. Yeah, I won't care.
You want to put it in sport and give it a little bit of the beans?
I'm going to put it in sport.
See how this turbo does?
All right, here we go. So
Sport.
There it is. I don't know if you heard the exhaust. Suddenly the baffles opened. I'm kidding. They didn't.
The world parted. The sea parted in front of us. All right, let's see how quick
here we
this
go.
is. Yeah.
So I'm just, going to accelerate. I didn't.
There's the
There it
turbo.
goes.
Not bad, dude.
Not bad at all, right?
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah, this thing actually has a lot of muscle, and the torque really comes in at around 2,300 RPM.
Very
That's
low.
the usable torque
Yeah.
in my book. It's technically it's better at lower end, but I think that's just perfect because that's great for merging and getting on, and at the same time overtaking in traffic. This thing is really, really well set up for that. But the other side of it is the dual clutch. Not happy with that because check this out, Roman. Okay, I'm going to hit the accelerator. Two things happened. One, there was just a little bit of lag with the turbo, but the other thing is that it had to go down 2 notches in order to get me into the gear it wanted to be in. So there's a bit of a delay with that.
Yeah, I don't mind the dual clutch for like track work, but
Yeah.
I think for off-road and I think for like heavy traffic, it's not the greatest of transmissions. Give me a good old torque converter and I'm going to be much happier.
I agree 100%.
Now, in terms of competition, Nathan, what does this compete with?
Well, directly, the Nissan Pathfinder, I think, is like right there in its sights.
Yep.
In terms of size and everything else.
And it's a little smaller than the Palisade Telluride twins.
Yeah, and it's also smaller than the Toyota Grand Highlander, but it's a little bit, I think, a hair larger than the regular Toyota Highlander, so it's right in between the two, I think. And it also competes against a vehicle I recently drove, which is the brand new Chevrolet Traverse. And that Traverse has a Z71 package, which gives you a lot more off-road capacity and capability, which we have yet to really push, but we will in the very near future. Between the two of them, that one seems like a slightly better purchase if you're serious about camping and whatever. This,
I mean, the Z71 has always been Chevy's off-road.
yeah. Although I was on a rally stage when they get like, "Hey, it's off-road worthy," and they're like, "Really? It's just, we're on a dirt road." But we're going to be testing it in the future. The point is that this one is a proven quantity. We already know what it can do. We really took it off-road and pushed it, and it did it unhappily, but it did it. But I think that the one thing that makes this car really good and good for families, did you notice how smooth the ride is? I mean, despite the fact it's got chunkier tires.
Yeah, it's very comfy.
It's a very comfortable vehicle, and this interior, I think, is very nice.
Now, if I remember, I actually looked for a first-gen Sorento back in the day because that one actually had a rear locker, I think. I think the first one was...
Oh, you're talking about the, yeah, so the Sorento, when it initially came out, was actually a truck.
Yeah, it was truck-based, and it was like...
Little frame.
Yeah, it was like a little off-roader. And they're kind of hidden gems in the off-road world. I think we've moved beyond that now. Obviously, most people use this to go to work, transport their family around.
That's exactly what it's for.
Right, it's a family hauler that gives you a lot of bells and whistles for I hate saying this, but the average price of a car in America is right where this is at now.
Yeah, but the question is, would you pay $50,000 for a Kia?
No, I have no problem paying $50,000 for a Kia. Think of the Stinger. I would pay that all day for the Stinger. I don't think I'd pay $50,000 for this particular Kia.
And is that because you hate families?
No, I love families. I just don't like the design. It just feels a little too,
Well,
like I said, too kind of staid. A little. There's just no excitement in the visual design of it.
Agreed. So Hyundai, to their credit, went and took the Santa Fe and completely went in a completely different direction.
They went
right?
like a baby Suburban. Right?
It's suburban. I think they went to a baby kind of Land Rover-ish type thing.
Exactly.
It's the whole square body thing completely blew everybody away. Nobody expected that. Now I think that they need to start looking at this vehicle and say, okay, what can we do that's unexpected, and really make this thing pop. That's the inside, saying this. But on the outside, what makes this worth $50,000 versus the other vehicles it competes against? And you hit it on the head. It's the tech. You're getting a lot of tech for the dough. That part is the positive.
Huge
I mean, this is
roof,
massive,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, you've got, like I said, heated and cooled seats. in front.
Wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. which, by the way, certain other automakers have done away with.
Yes,
So,
speaking of Chevy.
yeah, I know. So there's a lot to love about this vehicle if you are a family person and want something that has a little tiny bit more off-road brio, but it's not an off-roader.
No, it's definitely not an off-roader, but everything nowadays has to be off-roady. So, Nathan, on the TFL scale of buy it, lease it, rent it, or forget it, I'm going to give it a lease it because I think you get a lot of value for your money, even though the styling is not exactly something that I cotton to.
I'm going to say rent it. Not that I hate it. I don't. Rent it isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just a question of there's other vehicles out there for the money that I think give you a little bit more driving fun. You can get this same vehicle without the cool tires for a lot less money.
Well, guys, thanks for watching. As always, go to alltfl.com for all the latest reviews, news, and real world me and Nathan buddy reviews. We shall see you next time. Ciao.
Bye-bye.